Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome to this video in which I'm going to show you how to add an additional 25 to 35% increase in your Shopify monthly revenue with two tactics, two strategies that I'm going to share with you in this video. Number one is going to be how to properly launch a sale for your product in which you're maximizing the number of revenue that you're generating for that sale. And number two is how to create or how to manufacture additional revenue on your Shopify store. Pay attention to this video. You're definitely gonna want to watch this. So first of all, I'm gonna share my screen with you here. So this is a Shopify brand that we manage. I'm not gonna share the name of the brand just to kind of keep their privacy. So if you can see over here, right? So when working with the client, so like the owners, like we needed to generate additional revenue for the Shopify store, right? And so essentially what we did, we manufactured revenue. Yes, you can do that. You can manufacture revenue on your Shopify store. And the way we do that is by launching a sale, right? That's one of the strategy, or it's by launching a new product, right? Those are ways in which you can add peaks, right? As you can see over here, that you can add peaks to your e-commerce Shopify revenue, right? So as you can see, beginning of the month, so this is around like April 3rd. So like revenue was kind of like flatline, right? So we were doing around like $4,000 to $5,000 a day. And then now over here, we launched a sale. Actually, we launched a new product, right? We launched a new product in which we went from $3,000 to $4,000 a day to $11,000 to $10,000 a day to $11,000 a day, as you can see over here, right? From a product launch. And you can see this sale revenue just kind of, it stayed pretty consistent for the next couple of days until it eventually dropped down, right? And then what we did, we launched then an additional sale, right? Which obviously it wasn't as powerful as like the first product launch and the first sale that we launched, but you can see that, okay, cool, revenue is still up, right? It's still up from where we started out beginning of the month, where we were doing anywhere between like $4,000 to $5,000. And then we launched we launched a new product, which we did $10,000 to $11,000. And then we launched a sale around this time period over here, which we did like $9,000. And then we kept the sale running until present day. We're still running that sale, right? And again, this video, I'm gonna show you how to properly launch a new product, the different platforms and the strategies in which how you should launch that product, right? So without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. I just wanted to make sure I show you first the proof that yes, what I'm showing you, this works. This is the revenue that shows for that, right? So the first things first is that, okay, cool. Obviously you need to have a new product that you can launch, right? For this specific brand, we did have a new product that the client wanted to launch, right? And so that's exactly what we did, right? And so the first strategy when launching a new product, right? That's like the paid advertising side of it, right? You want to make sure that you're obviously running a new campaign specifically for that new product launch, right? I'm going to jump into Meta and show you how we structure and build that campaign. But then the additional big piece of this is email and SMS, right? That is probably where you're going to get, number one, is like the most amount of revenues, if not at least half of the revenue for that specific sale moment, right? And then obviously you want to make sure that you're pushing this out as well on like your social organic pages, right? So I want to show you like the email strategy that we run first and the SMS strategy that we run. So prior to launching a sale, right? So this is a pretty well-known brand in the jewelry category, right? And so they did a partnership with Death Row. I'll say that much, right? Death Row is a pretty massive brand. And so they did a partnership with Death Row in which they can obviously sell and push out jewelry, like Death Row related jewelry. And so the first strategy of that sale, I'm going to show you like the revenue number. I'm going to show you the email copy that we launched to as well, right? So let me find out over here for you guys. So the first one that we did, we launched a teaser email campaign, letting people know, hey, we have something big coming up, right? Obviously, this is in reference to the product that we're launching, right? So this over here, as you can see, like the teaser email, which you see the revenue, it generated $1,000. Right? We generated $1,000 just with this teaser email, right? And let me show you what that teaser email looks like. Let's see. Let me show you that teaser email just so you can have an idea of what it looks like. It was very simple, very, very simple. We just had a box of the record label Death Row, and then we had the date when we were going to launch it, and we also had what limited quantity of what that product was going to launch, and then we also had set the time when we were going to launch it, right? Here's the thing, there's no call to action here. There is no call to action on this email, right? The only call to action is on the image itself. If you click on the image, then it takes you obviously to the product that we launched, right? But we're not making it, it's not like present or it's not obvious on the email, right? So that's the first thing that we launched, and yet that still generated $1,000 in revenue, right? So that's the first thing that we launched. Now, when we go back And then the preceding day, right? The preceding day, we launched then the official campaign, right? So I'm gonna show you the second email that we launched for that, right? So that second email actually generated, let's see, the return of death row. Yeah, that second email generated $1,400. So this is the official email that was launched. So the teaser, $1,000. The second one, $1,400, right? And the thing is that, you know, when this thing eventually did launch, people did see the original teaser email and they went and clicked on the image, and then they was able to take them to the product sales page, right? And then within the second email that we launched, this was the official launch of the campaign, right? Death Row Records. And then obviously we have copy, right? Copy in the sense that we were selling the specific product, right? And then we have the two image, like, so this is the style of the image. And then obviously the call to action is like on the moment, right? And then when you click on that, it takes you to the specific product page, which you can purchase the product, right? So those are the two things that we did to initiate this product launch, right? Now, obviously within the next preceding days, we had another email reminder letting people know to purchase the product, right? So essentially we're still gonna do probably 4 to 5 emails just for the specific product launch, right? The first one was just the teaser email. The second one was the official launch of the product where people can now purchase. And then the third one was just a third follow-up, like, hey, if you didn't purchase the new drop, like, go ahead and purchase. And then the fourth one is just gonna be another reminder, so we can have up to 4 emails or up to 5, right? Depending on how crazy you wanna get with this. So that's the first strategy. That's just email. Now on SMS, let me show you what we did on the SMS side, right? Which is another important piece to essentially launching a successful sale, right? So it didn't stop. So we didn't stop with email. We also went on the SMS side, and then we didn't launch a teaser for SMS, because the thing with SMS, like, you have to pay per email, per messages that you sent. Right, so you can't send as much volume as you can with email with SMS. So you kind of be you have to be very careful with how you use SMS, because it is cost, right? There's a cost to sending out SMS message to your contacts, right? But nonetheless, so far we had one, which was just the official launch of that product, right? And let me show you essentially how much revenue that generated over here. So the SMS campaign is right here. So as you can see, Death Will Return, the SMS, right? So that one generated $1,200 in revenue, right? We sent out to around like 15,000 people. We had like 2,500 people click on that, and then we had $1,200 in revenue generated for that, right? So that's the first SMS message that we launched. And then obviously there's going to be another one. There's probably going to be 2 additional ones that we launch, again, just for this product launch, right? But those are the revenue figures, and those are the strategies so far from an email and from an SMS. Now, the other big piece where we're going to get probably the other half of the revenue is obviously on the paid social, it's on the paid side, right? And specifically, we did the launch using like Meta, right? So I'm gonna jump into like the Meta account to essentially show you how we built the product launch campaign, and essentially like the audiences and everything that we use for that. And I'll show you how much revenue we generated from that, how many purchases, how much we spent on that specific Death Row campaign, right? So I'm looking at the last 30 days over here, right? So the campaign that we want to focus on is the Death Row, right? So this is the launch, right? First, let me show you the revenue figures and the purchase figures from that one. So in this small time frame that we launched that campaign, I think it was within a week, we had 61 purchases from that at $12,400 in revenue generated from that at $41.74 cost per purchase. How much did we spend on that specific campaign? I mean, just look at the efficiency. The efficiency was a 4.87. Like, this is very successful. This was very successful, 4.87. Now, just kind of looking at the margin of this specific business, we would have made a profit at a 3x return on ad spend, right? We would have making a profit, first order profit at a 3x, right? Because when you do the computation, when you do the math, when you look at the MSRP of the product, and then essentially how much we're paying for acquisition, and how much essentially we're paying to ship the product, et cetera, et cetera. When you do the math, we need a minimum of a 3x to at least make a first order revenue or first order profit. But obviously we're well above that. We're at a 4.87 return on ad spend. And so 4.87 return on ad spend, that was really good. Client was very happy with that. And like, how much did we spend on that specific campaign? We spent $2,500 on that specific campaign within the span of a week. So that's around, I would say, $250, and I believe $250 that we spent initially, and then we started to kind of cut back on the initial spend. But currently, right now, we're spending around $150. Now, looking at the setup, this is an ASC campaign, right? This is an ASC campaign in which with ASC, if you don't know what ASC, this is called Advanced Shopping Campaign. So this essentially is Meta's like AI-driven campaign type, right? And so $150 right now is the current budget, but we started at $250, right? When we saw the efficiency start to decrease a little bit, then we start to cut back on the budget because one, we're almost out of this product, right? As you saw the quantity, and so we can't be going too aggressive with it. So over here, where you see the existing campaign budget cap, so we put just about 20% of the overall budget to go towards remarketing, right? We don't need to run any additional remarketing campaign. Obviously you can, but on that specific acquisition campaign, we had 20% of the overall budget go towards like remarketing or existing customers, should I say, right? And then the other 80% was going after net new customer, right? And so that was the setup for that. And obviously with ASC, you can't do any form of interest targeting, so everything was just broad, right? And Meta is typically very good at finding, depending on how good you're creative, Meta is really good at finding the specific customer that's going to purchase the product, right? So that's the setup for ASC, right? And that's obviously what generated the $12,000 in revenue for this specific campaign. Again, this is a very successful campaign. We're still running it to this day, right? And so we launched this around, when you look at the we look at the Shopify revenue around the 20th, right? So that was the initial launch of that specific campaign, right? And obviously some of the revenue came from the email and SMS, and the other half of that came from paid media, which is like the Facebook and Instagram advertising, right? And then obviously when you look at the preceding day, which is on the 21st, it generated more revenue, which was like essentially $11,500, right? And it started to cut back over here, right? Now, that's how you can manufacture revenue. On any timeline, we could have dropped this product in any timeline. Obviously, as long as you have the product and you have like the logistic all set in place, we could have launched this at any specific time. Obviously, we can choose to launch another product in maybe a couple of days to essentially have another revenue spike, or just manufacture additional revenue, right? Those are different strategies that you can use to increase your revenue by a mere 25 to 35% or even more, depending on how good your sale is, and obviously depending on how good the product that you're launching actually is. Like, this is very important. Now, if you don't have a product that you can launch, the next thing that you could do to manufacture revenue is do a sale, right? So the next thing that we did was we launched an additional sale, right? And so this is all in the month. This is all like in the last 30 days. So this is between like April and obviously like part of May as well, as this is like looking at May 2nd. So I'll show you the strategy that we use to launch the sale. Same thing. We used the exact same strategy that we used for the product launch, but this time we just had the sale. The sale actually performed better on the email and SMS side thus far, right? So when you look at the SMS side, so on SMS, so this is a 25% sale. Like, this is a very good sale because this brand typically doesn't run a sale, but when they do run a sale, people take advantage of that, right? Now, if you're a brand that constantly runs sales, like maybe the sale may not be as effective if your website is constantly a sale, your product is constantly a sale, unless the sale is just like a big enough from your regular sale that, okay, people definitely want to take advantage of that, right? So again, for this specific example, this brand, we don't run a lot of sales, right? And so when we do run a sales, it's effective, right? And so with this specific sale, it was a 25% off. So the sale percentage is equivalent to what we do on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Obviously just a little bit less, but like the percentage is around the same, right? I think on Black Friday, we did 25% off as well. And then Cyber Monday, we did 20% off as well, if I'm not mistaken. But on the SMS side, so the same day that we launched this, we generated $2,000 in revenue for this specific sale on SMS alone. So, this was delivered to 16,000 people, 2,443 people clicked on this specific sale, and $2,310 in revenue on SMS alone, right? On the 25% off sale. And then on the email, which did even better, right? Obviously on email, we have a higher number of people that we can run the sale to, right? So we launched the sale, and then it generated $3,460 in revenue. Right, so altogether, when you put just email and SMS, right, so that's what, at $5,600 or $5,700 in revenue from the sale in 1 or 2 days only, right? So you look at the date, the 28th. Now, obviously, days are going to trickle in, and then some people, like if we launch the sale on the Monday the 20th, maybe somebody won't see the email until the 29th, or maybe even the 30th, then they will go ahead and make that purchase, right? And so Just wanted to add that additional piece of information, but it's so crucial, guys. It's so crucial to, when you're launching a sale, to have email and SMS, contingent that you do have quite a sizable list to send to. That's gonna be a very important piece of essentially manufacturing sales, right? Now, let me go on the paid media side and essentially show you what that looks like. The sale is still relatively new. We launched it with like a couple days ago, right? And we've only spent around like $561 on that sale, right? And let's look at the efficiency so far. It's not crazy like the first product launch that I showed you, but it's still pretty decent. It's at a 3.05, right? So we are making a profit from the initial launch of the specific sale, right? Just 12 purchases and $1,700 in revenue from this specific sale, right? Now, what I'll likely do is probably push more spend in this specific campaign, right? And then, guys, essentially that's different ways in how you can essentially manufacture new revenue on your Shopify store, right? You don't have to wait for like holiday moments to launch a specific sale. Like, you don't have to wait for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. You don't have to wait for Father's Day, Mother's Day. You don't have to wait for Memorial. Like any one of those days, you don't have to wait for those, right? Because there's only a limit amount of these specific holiday moments in which you can run sales, right? And so again, there are other ways, which is essentially manufacturing sale moment or peak moment within your revenue by launching new products or running sales, right? And those two alone are very effective in creating these revenue peaks that you're seeing over here, right? These are revenue peaks right here. This is what I call revenue peaks, right? Guys, so hopefully this is helpful in terms of like formulating a strategy to how to manufacturing these sales for your own company. As you can see, like this is obviously, we're just comparing this from last year, but we're doing 27% increase, 27% increase year-over-year revenue, right? By adding these manufacturer or just peak moment on the revenue line over here. Guys, again, hopefully this is helpful in terms of like the different strategy that you can use to add additional revenue to your Shopify monthly revenue, right? Guys, if you found this video helpful, just make sure to subscribe, leave a comment down if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.